We are going to be vulnerable and powerful, and we're not going to be afraid to be judged because it doesn't matter. Hey guys, what's up? Welcome to Life from Mars. My name is Marissa, but you can call me Mars. I am so excited about this episode. This is my first video since I am sort of relaunching my channel, and I have so many video ideas that I want to share with you guys, so many videos, so I am so excited, and I really hope that you guys enjoy this video and that you continue to enjoy the videos that will come after. So this is just the first of many. Yeah, I was kind of debating about what to make this video about. I was really excited, obviously it's the first video since the relaunch, whatever, so I was debating on what I should make it about, but honestly, this topic is something that has really been consuming a lot of my mind. I've been meditating on it a lot, and it's something that has really impacted me since I began to think about it, and everyone that I talk to about it also seems to be really impacted by it, and I just don't think that enough people talk about it, and so I thought that it would be a great first video. So as you guys obviously probably saw from the title, this video is going to be all about the power of vulnerability. So obviously, when most of us think of vulnerability, we probably don't think of power. You know, you might associate it with weakness or fear or insecurities or anxiety or, you know, moreover negative feelings, emotions, things, whatever. I guess the first thing is to start to kind of ask, what is vulnerability? So vulnerability, I think, is any time that you feel like you are putting yourself out there in a way that you can be judged, or that you can fail, or that you can be put in a position where you might not succeed, or maybe to, you know, be rejected. And I think that vulnerability is sort of that like anxiousness slash energy that you feel when you're putting yourself out there to be vulnerable. So being vulnerable is, I guess, really just to be exposed and to sort of just be raw about who you are. Now, I think that vulnerability comes into play in so many different parts of our lives. I don't even think that we realize how many times vulnerability is impacting us and how many times it might be stopping us from living our best lives or achieving what we want to achieve just because we're afraid, or, you know, we have anxieties about putting ourselves out there or being judged, or, you know, whatever it may be. You're vulnerable when you go and apply for a job. You're vulnerable when you decide to pursue your dreams and put yourself out there to be judged. You're vulnerable when you don't wear makeup out for the day and you're just your natural self. You're vulnerable when you tell people what you're really thinking. You're vulnerable when you're being your true self, and when you're maybe taking a risk, or when you're wearing something that maybe is outside of the norm, or maybe you like something that's outside of the norm, or you have a dream that's outside of the norm. And I think that vulnerability is that place where you have to just be willing to put yourself completely out there in order to accomplish an end goal. And sometimes that can be really scary, and it can come with a lot of fear attached, especially because of societal expectations and different things like that. You know, I mean, obviously nobody likes the feeling of rejection. Nobody likes feeling like they're not good enough, or like they're being judged, or, you know, any of those things. And so I think that's a big reason the vulnerability is generally kind of pushed away. I mean, it's a really big thing, right? To pretend like you don't care. It's this really big thing to just pretend like, oh, I'm just this baddie who has no emotions and I don't care about anything. And, you know, even if you're just playing that doesn't mean that you're not afraid of being vulnerable, because being vulnerable means that you are willing to be exactly who you are, do exactly what you want to do, and live exactly the life that you feel inside you that you're meant to be living, regardless of what the world thinks. So basically, I started kind of thinking about vulnerability because I stumbled upon this speech and meditation by this amazing woman named Brach. She was just talking about how a lot of us sort of have these mechanisms for which we deal with vulnerability. So for some of us, we maybe put on a mask. We pretend to be this outward person. We put on this persona that might not actually be who we are, just because we're sort of compensating maybe for something that we're insecure about, or, you know, we're just afraid of being our true selves. So we have to put on this mask or create this sort of illusion, I guess, for the public eye, so that we can keep ourselves from having to be completely vulnerable and having to be completely exposed. There was this one story that Tara Brach shared that honestly really impacted me, and I thought it was really, really beautiful because so she told this story about this young man that she worked with when she was living in California. Somehow stumbled upon this young man, and he was getting in a lot of trouble. He had, been in and out of jail. He had some friends that were not the best, and he was just getting into a lot of trouble, really just not aligned with himself, and just, sort of lost, because it's easy to get lost in this society. No judgment, it's easy to get lost. So, he was a little lost, and he was just kind of unsure of himself, and he had built up this persona, this ego of being like this tough guy, and that's who he was. He was involved in gangs, he did things like that, and so he had to put on this face of like, oh yeah, I'm this tough guy, and I'm unaffected, and I don't care what the world thinks, and this is who I am. And so he was just projecting this out to the world. So Tara Brach, she decided to invite this kid to this Buddhist conference that she was speaking at, hoping that he might gain some insight that would maybe help him a little bit in his path. This conference had just started, and they were just getting settled in, whatever, and there was this man who started singing some chants and singing some hymns, and basically he would sing these chants for whatever reason in this horrible high-pitched voice, and everyone in the conference was sort of like just cringing a little bit, just bearing through it, because they already knew that this is just how he sings it, and that although it's a little bit I guess cringeworthy, they just they obviously accepted it and just waited for him to finish, because this is just how he liked to sing it. And so while this is happening, Tara Brach, she looks over to this young man from California, and she looks at him and she realizes that he's crying. I mean, he's just sobbing. He's so emotional while this guy is singing. And she was really impacted by that, and she was sort of taken off guard of just like, whoa, he's crying right now. And so she approached him afterwards and she asked him, what was it about that moment that was so, impactful for you? Why did you get so overcome by emotion? And he told her, I was just so impacted because I looked at that man and I realized that he was not afraid to be a fool, that he was putting himself out there, and that he did look like a fool, but he did not care, and he kept singing anyway, because that is what he wanted to do. And that boy was so impacted that he started crying, because it's just so unheard of in this world that you're willing to be a fool. I've really come to realize vulnerability is a power, and that if you're just willing to be real with vulnerability and be real with yourself and be real with the world and just follow your whole soul and heart and not judge yourself, vulnerability and being willing to be vulnerable seriously can create miracles in your life. Almost all successful people have had to put themselves in vulnerable positions to get where they are. Obviously, we live in a society where, people are judgmental, people can be mean, and people are also very superficial and consumed, I guess, by societal norms. And so there's always going to be people who maybe are not going to support you, or that might even project their own beliefs onto you. You might have this amazing dream that you want to be a cook and you want to be Gordon Ramsay, like you want to be an all-star, amazing, world-renowned chef, and you have that energy and you have that potential in you and you have the talent and you could build it, but your whole family has always told you that maybe you couldn't do that, and that couldn't pay the bills, and that the odds of that being able to happen are so slim. And because you have that fear of maybe not being enough, or that you maybe couldn't be that person, you're never willing to be vulnerable enough to just do it and put yourself out there. It can be really destructive to your dreams and to your life when you suppress vulnerability. And obviously this can go to a wider scape as far as, suppressing emotions, your true wants, your true desires. And obviously I know that circumstance can determine a lot in our lives, but I really do think that the best option is honesty and truth, and that only beautiful things and true happiness will come out of you truly embracing yourself and what you really want. That requires vulnerability. Once you are willing to just embrace vulnerability and be who you are, you become an energy that is just inspiring and powerful and really beaming in this world. The Latin root of the word courage actually means somebody who's willing to speak their true self. So basically somebody who's willing to be completely honest and raw about themselves. That was the original meaning of the word courageous. So to have courage was essentially to be completely honest and real about who you really are. It had nothing to do with being brave or going out and fighting or, doing all these crazy things. The willingness to be completely yourself. And that was real courage. And I honestly just resonate with that so much. And I so believe it because it's true. That is real courage. It's hard to just completely embrace yourself, of course. And I know that and I get it. And nobody said it's gonna be easy, but it's all about your perception. No matter who I am to the world, it is the best case scenario. And it just feels so good to be real with yourself and to be honest and to be free. It's just this amazing feeling of just lifting fear off of your body and just putting yourself in a position to be judged and to be criticized and to be looked at or to be, frowned upon. You don't know how the world's gonna react. But the feeling of just being real with the world, it's so beautiful and it's so undescribable. I made this video because I think that everyone should be willing to be able to be vulnerable. Every single day, you should wake up and really think, how can I be more comfortable with being vulnerable today? Think about maybe people that you have difficulty being completely vulnerable with. It's easy to just sort of go with a conversation that somebody else brings up, or to maybe just sort of almost change yourself to fit into what's expected, you know what I mean? And it's just this weird paradox, right? We're all expected to be this version of this perfect person when in reality we're all different, and that's something to be embraced. And your uniqueness is what makes you so amazing. It's really just about completely embracing the amazing person that you are and not apologizing for it, because life is too short to suppress emotions, guys. If you think something, just say it, and I guarantee you're gonna feel better. So many people go their whole lives just not doing what they want to do, or not being who they want to be, or not being who they want to be with, or not being honest with people. They're afraid that they could fail, even though they don't even know what would actually happen if they tried. And there is a very good chance that they would succeed if they just had the mindset that they could only succeed. So if you are happy with who you are, and you're happy with your life circumstances, and you are completely embracing your soul and your emotions and even your fear, you can achieve whatever you want. Instead of being afraid to be judged, acknowledge that you will be judged. But the key is to not judge yourself. So just listen to your own thoughts, listen to the way you really feel, and don't judge yourself for feeling. Don't judge yourself for wanting, and don't judge yourself for having dreams and having ambitions, because you should. That is who you are. You are a powerful, energetic, cosmic soul on earth. Confidence is what gets you everywhere. And guess what? Confidence is vulnerability. Confidence is being completely real and being honest with who you are, or what you're wearing, or what you're doing, and just embracing it, no matter what. So I challenge you guys today to really look at your life and not be afraid to be irrational, and not be afraid to be emotional, and not be afraid to be a real, fully functioning person, and not be afraid to be unique and to diverge from the ordinary path, or from what I guess most people do, and to just forge your own path, to be your own person. Ask yourself, how can I use who I really am? How can I embrace my vulnerability to achieve real happiness? I am going to be vulnerable, and that is my superpower. I promise you will not regret embracing who you really are, because that is why you were made into being who you are. That is why you are incarnated in this life. That is why your soul has chosen your body, because you were meant to live this life, and you were meant to embrace who you really are. And trust me, vulnerability will bring you power to do that. So thank you guys so much for tuning in. I so appreciate it. I am so happy to have talked about this topic, and I really definitely want to continue talking about similar things in the future, being real about what it's like to be human, what it's like to live life and be conscious and explore your own mind, your own soul, your own body. And I am really excited for all the new content that I have coming up, so please stay tuned. I will be making videos about a wide range of topics, so if you like this video, make sure that you give it a thumbs up right down below. Make sure that you check out the link for the meditation/speech by Brach. It is amazing. And also make sure that you, of course, subscribe, please, so that you can keep up with me, and also press the little bell so that you can get notifications for when I do make new videos, and you can make sure to catch all of my new content. So I'm so excited, guys. Thank you so much, and welcome to Light from Mars. I'm so excited. Let's do this. Bye.